Hello everyone, Michaela here. I am your joy coach. Nice to see you today. I hope that you are fantastic. Here in New Jersey, we just had our first little bit of snow, and that kind of makes me excited as we enter the Christmas season. And as we find ourselves in this position every year, ready to turn the page on the calendar, it's so important to pause and kind of reflect on where you've been. So what we're going to do today is going to be the final episode of what has become season 1 of And All the Things. When I set out to start this project, it really was a desire to create and share space with people who choose daily to grow and to change and to inspire others. I'm so blessed to have conversations with individuals like this, and my goal was to share them with you. What I found is you like them. And they're enjoyable, and there's so many nuggets to take from people just like you and I who are showing up every day. My little passion project turned into what is now a podcast. That became the case when I launched it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and had to put a name to it. So you are watching the final episode of season 1 of And All the Things. There's so much that I have learned in this time, not only about technology and glitchy phones and Instagram accounts and Bluetooth devices and all the things, but I've learned to overcome them, I've learned to laugh about them, and I've learned to use that as an experience to grow from. And this is the practice I use in my coaching, and this is what I see in the individuals that you've met so far on my podcast. You see desire to keep growing, to keep learning, to keep overcoming despite the obstacles, despite the happiness and the suffering that life throws at us. And it's in this space where I believe joy exists. So as your joy coach, as a healer committed to bringing forth joy, I'm closing out season 1, but we're not stopping there. There will be a season 2 of And All the Things starting December 22nd. I've decided to kind of mature a little bit since we went from just hosting a little conversation on Instagram Live to hosting a podcast. I'll be recording them on Zoom, packaging them up nice and neat, hopping on Instagram Live with my guests to let you meet and get to know what you'll be hearing about in the podcast and releasing them subsequently. So if you're not following along on Spotify, please do so now. If you're not following along on Apple or YouTube, or my goodness, here on Instagram, please do so now. Because we are shifting things up and I want to keep you coming along. Season 2 is going to be an evolution that follows a path that I am on, evolving in my growth, evolving in my spirit and my direction. And what I'm going to offer to you with season 2 is a group of business people, a group of teachers and people desperate to bring forth something that is powerful and profitable to them and to others. And it's not always going to be, neatly packaged and tidy people because let's face it, we're all messy, right? And I want you to see that you too can overcome the drudgery of a job you don't love or a life without passion and grow through those obstacles using the gifts inside. So season 2 is going to be jam-packed with great guests, great content, and great nuggets of wisdom. So make sure you're staying tuned. But as a quick thank you, because I'm all about giving back the gratitude, I just want to read off the list of people you met this season on And All the Things. So the first one, huge shout out to Caroline Murray, my first guest, my biggest cheerleader in getting this little project started. To Donna Dowson, Mia Clark, Riley Karsh, Nick Palumbo, Mike Freeze, Frank Tenalia, Christiana Durand, Carla Daly, Lethelma Yen Bata, and Marissa McAleer, and closing out with Michael Strauss. Each one of these guests brought power and wisdom and celebration and normalizing a little bit of the messy parts of life, and you'll be able to expect a lot more of that next season. So last week I asked everyone to send in questions, and after listening to some of these podcasts, what do you want to know still? Is it about me? Is it about big picture? What are you struggling with right now? So we're going to talk about 3 questions I received. I think they cover all of those big ideas of who am I, what's up next, and what do we need to know to get through. So the first question was, tell me more about Michaela, the Joy Coach. I thought that was a fair question. So about me, I am a wife, a mom, a PTO person, a community person, a church person. I'm a lot of things. I have a lot of titles and a lot of roles. But what I am is a teacher and a healer at my core. I don't know anything else. So when people ask how long I've been coaching, I simply say, well, a really long time, because for as long as I can remember, I was raised in a way of have the solution-focused conversation. Focus on the solution, not the finger pointing, not the victimization, not the woe is me. Focus on the solution. And that is how I structure my coaching practice. I got here because I lost some of that. I got very comfortable being the roles I was assigned. The wife, the mother, the employee, the community participant, you name it. And while all of those roles are satisfying and fulfilling and so precious and truly deserve my attention, what I wasn't doing was holding those spaces, those identities for the right reasons. I was doing it because I thought I should. I was doing it because that's what you do. You go to college, you get the degree, you get the job, you get the spouse, you get the, what is it now, like 2.2 kids and the minivan and all that jazz. I never got the minivan, but came close with the rest. And I looked at my life, and it was big, broad, and beautiful, and powerful, and something many would aspire to. But I was super unhappy. I was super sad. I was super victimized by my own narrative, right? Oh, look at me, the wonderful murder mom doing all the things. I don't need anything. I don't need sleep. I don't need to take care of myself. And I lost myself in that, completely voluntarily and done with all the righteous love I could muster. And I found myself withering. And it wasn't until a coach, thank you, Wanda, said to me, "What are you tolerating?" I said, whoa. Well, I don't know. And I had a hard time articulating it because when I say out loud that I'm not happy with something, then I have to do something about it. And I wasn't quite sure how to implement that without rocking the boat and disrupting what I thought was a really great life. So we worked through the question, and my answer was very simple. And it actually, once I acknowledged it was there and it had to come out, it took a little while. It just came flowing out, and it said, I am tolerating a lack of joy in my life. I have this beautiful, wonderful life filled with happiness, and I'm filling it also, welcoming additional suffering by my own telling of that story. And it was through coaches and through a lot of tough conversations and a lot of soul searching and deep digging that I was able to put into motion some practices, some behaviors, some mindset, some, again, tough conversations, to make that change. And what I found is the world didn't end, right? Life didn't stop because I suddenly was building a boundary that said, I would love to give to you, but I can't unless I give something to myself. And through that, I created my business in 2019, Joy Enterprises. Under this umbrella, I use Joy Inc. as my coaching practice. And hi, Chrissy, I see you. And I love you right here. You're right here right now. That's where you are. I have a note here that says, right there, right now. And so many of us are, right? That's why we have to have these conversations and normalize that even though the package looks nice and tidy and my, the Christmas thing is all set, holy cow, life is messy and so am I, right? So we have to talk about this stuff. So thank you, Chrissy, for being vulnerable. It's a huge part. So 2019, I start my business coaching. I get certified as a life coach. I start building in a little client here, another client there. But what I found is it put something back into my soul. It put passion back into my soul because it was for me. It was authentically and wholly me. And that felt real. And once I felt that realness, I was able to start extending that into other parts of my life. I still have a knot in my throat. I think it's going to be there until I release all the healing, because my vocal chakra is so used to just saying, it's okay, I'll do what's necessary. I'll do what you need. And it is a constricting strangulation to not speak our own truth, right? So I started talking with clients and helping them uncover it, which was incredibly healing for me. And as I healed bigger and stronger, no longer could I tolerate the things that brought me down. In that space, I rewrote the narrative on relationships, on my health, on my wellness, on finances, on my relationship with alcohol and other substances. I have done a lot of work, and it has not been easy. But damn it, it's worth it. And I say all the time, I repeat the words of Glennon Doyle, you have to choose your hard. And I chose the hard that got me closer to my authentic self. What I found there is a gift that's been shouting to come out my whole life. And that's to empower something in others that's true to them so that they may go forth and shine their light in the world. It's what I believe wholeheartedly that I was put on this earth to do. And it's what I'm wholeheartedly committed to. So in doing that, I have taken a position as executive director of an organization dedicated to the collaboration and empowerment and enhancement of women entrepreneurs. And it is so incredibly exciting to take on this position and to help move forward a group of individuals who say yes to showing up, to growing and inspiring and changing. And I can't even believe it, but it's just a sign that when we show up with our fullest, our truest, our wholest self, the one that makes us feel good, the universe responds and meets us where we are. So there'll be more to come about that later. But I say that to not say that it has been easy and I'm standing on a pillar and that life has just handed me this gift. I have cultivated every step of this. It has not been pretty. I wouldn't say proud, but I'm not pleased with how I behaved, how I acted, how I engaged, the choices I made, the way I accepted relationships. But I'm grateful that I endured those experiences because on the other side, healthy, happy, enduring relationships with others, with myself, again, with food, with alcohol, with social media, all of that cleanses and moves out and creates space for the trueness and the fullness to reside. So I am living proof of that. I am not an exception where I simply got put here. Luckily, it is a choice every day to grow, inspire, and change. So that's a little bit about me. A couple other things. I used to be a teacher. Holy cow, what a great job. I taught high school students English. I sold commas for a living. You want to talk about being able to sell things? Let me tell you what. Before that, I was a social worker. I worked in a group home with 5 adolescents and basically was their caretaker. I was their advocate. I was their everything for a week at a time every other month, or 2 weeks at a time every month. In addition, I was an event planner, and from that, I have become a wedding officiant. And it is one of my true greatest joys to participate in that situation. I love weddings, I love words, and I freaking love people. So you put them all together, and I'm here to tell you it is almost more fun for me than it is for them. What else? Then I moved back to New Jersey and became a part of our family business. We manufacture garage doors. Yes, that's right. Kind of a random thing to make, but everyone that's got a garage needs them. So I learned a lot through this. I learned about working with my family. I learned about business. I basically got a master's in business, if you will. I learned about marketing. I learned about manufacturing. I learned about myself. And I learned that I cannot live a life that doesn't create human joy. I love what I did. I love who I did it for. I love why I did it. But I was missing something, and missing that piece for so long nearly broke me. And by the grace of my family and their support and their understanding and their desire to see me shine, blessedly, my husband got right behind me. Maybe it was a little bumpy at times, but that's okay too. But he has supported and gotten excited about all of my endeavors. And he sits away from here quietly so as to not interrupt. So kudos to you, babe. But there have just been so many people in my life that have told me you can do it. And now as a coach, as a facilitator, it is my job, it is my blessing to pay that forward. So when I work with people, when I work with groups, what we do is we go through a process. And my next question is going to help kind of define some of that process. The question that came in is, how do you make it through the holidays without losing your shit? Fair question, right? So great question. It's something that I didn't always know how to do. Again, put that, chokehold back on my throat. I didn't ever speak up about what I wanted. Not just because I didn't know how, but quite frankly, I don't know, I didn't know what I wanted. And I look at our kids today and there's so many decisions made for them and they're told when and who and where and how. And I feel like we've lost some of why we do the things. Why do we do the 17 Christmas parties? Why do we do, an abundance of gifts that are just way too much to purchase, afford, hide, and wrap? Why do we do all of these things? Why do we have to make everything so perfect? Why does the tree, in my case, have to be up right after Thanksgiving, lit and decorated and ready to go? Well, this year I had a slap in the face from the universe about that very topic. Why do we need to have everything done and ready, Pinterest ready? Here we go. For me, my Christmas tree is a symbol of it's all together. The season is lit. It is ready. Everything is right. Now we may proceed with the Christmas celebration. What I found this year with a rainy weekend after Thanksgiving is that my Christmas tree was not to be had. In fact, it took a whole week and 2 days to get the tree. Once we got the tree, my family decided to systematically get sick. And because we have to do this way and all together, tree did not get lit or decorated. So tree gets in, 5 days later, lights get on, 5 days later, ornaments are finally on. But what I've had to do is come to the place of surrender. What is it really about? I'm learning that I have to surrender to my timeline. I am not the master upstairs with a wand. I cannot say with certainty that the future holds anything. I simply have to be here and do the very best I can with this moment. So the thought process that I use daily, that I use with my clients, that I use in my own personal practice, is to pause, right? Pause. There is a moment between stimulus and response that we have to become more clear of, more aware of, more present in, because it's in that moment that we can choose what to do, how to craft the response. This is where we choose our heart. So in the moment, I wanted to panic and start yelling at people because we weren't decorating the tree on time. Well, there wasn't even a tree. Let's move beyond that. I wanted to hurry up and rush it. I wanted to stay up late while the kids were sleeping and get it done. I wanted to do a lot of things. All of them could have been done, and they all would have resulted in the tree being decorated. But the reality is, that's not the point. The value, right? When we look at our true value system, the first thing is what's most important to you. And for me, it's my family and their safety and wellness, which is about connection and their health and their experience, how they're experiencing life. And I was overlooking that experience. I was saying it's more important that I meet my timeline, that I hold the wand, than I create the experience or I allow the experience to happen in its right time for everyone. So while we were all wearing different Christmas pajamas, there wasn't a single photo taken, the cookies were not good, we had the best time decorating our tree because we were together, because it was very purposeful and intentional. We were calm. Mommy wasn't a basket case. And it became a night where we elongated the process and made more memories and shared more time and watched a great movie. So it's a reminder to surrender. So what's the process? What's important to you, right? How does the choice you have to make? Do I freak out about the Christmas tree or do I let it roll? How does the choice I have to make get me closer to or farther away from my goals? In every situation, the pause gives us that time. So whether it's, do I eat the extra cookie? Do I go to the party? Do I let the person at work, at home, talk to me this way again and again and again? Do I sacrifice what I need for something I think is more important for others? The whole gamut, right? It starts with the pause. What's most important to me? How does this get me closer to my goals? And from there, you get to make a decision which hopefully will help you get through the holidays, right? So if you're faced with, I don't have time to wrap presents, fair. What resources do you have? Are you the only person in your house that can wrap presents? Really? What resources do you have beyond that, right? Sometimes it's nice to take a half a day off of work and take that time and wrap in peace. Is that an option? Is it an option to use bags? I love bags. Who knows? But it's a conversation that you hold with yourself or potentially with a coach to say, what are my resources? Because if I look at it and say, I simply don't have time in the calendar, well, then guess what? You're not getting your presents wrapped. But if it's important to you to have that experience, to allow it to exist, how do you make that work? What is the consequence? It might mean that, for example, 2 weeks ago, I sent my whole family out to go have fun, and I stayed home and wrapped presents. I would have loved to go have fun with them, but the reality is I would love more and understand the lasting value of having it done without stress, without me being the basket case, because guess what? That happens. So what is really important and what do you expect to get out of it? When you think about holiday engagements, right? You're going to be spending time with family or maybe not with family. What are the boundaries, right? What is okay and what's not okay? How do you find your voice to say, I'd love to come to this party. However, while my kids are there, I don't want to talk about politics. It's okay to say that. If it's important to you, it also means that you have to stand behind it. And you have to say, ooh, we're in that conversation zone. Can we talk about that another time? And be willing to speak up and vocalize. Sometimes that takes practice. But again, the world's not going to stop because you have a boundary, right? Family drama and arguments are going to happen, right? They're going to happen all year long, but it gets so much more intense at the holidays. Why? Because we have this Hallmark movie, Hallmark card vision of what the holidays will look like. And what we do is we take our messy, messy selves and we plunk them in that spot and say, it's going to be perfect, right? Everyone's going to be on their best behavior. What happens often is the excitement of the moment sets in and the anticipation sets in, and we start to lose our control over that pause, right? Do you stick around for the argument? Do you engage in the argument? Do you try to diffuse the argument? In all those scenarios, the question becomes, what is my desired result? Do I have a role that I can actually play here? And is it my responsibility? From someone who's been a pleaser, who's held the chokehold of, I'm just going to make sure everybody's happy. I'm not going to say what I think and feel. For so many years of my life, I can tell you wholeheartedly that this happens, right? I want to fix the problem. And I get involved. It's not my responsibility. I cannot fix these problems. They are not my problems to solve. And if they are, there is a way to do it. It probably doesn't involve hyperinflating a situation where people are living in a fantasy land about their Hallmark Christmas, probably drinking, which always sets us into a little different state. We think we're comfortable, but then we just realize we're a little volatile. And not that I'm disparaging any of this, right? It's just our reality. So it's all about what's important to me. What's important to me? Where are my boundaries in this? And how do I get closer to my desired result? Everything is a choice. And sometimes we have to choose our hard and say the hard thing right now is to not get involved in this conversation. And I'm going to step out and go to the other room. And sometimes the hard is getting involved in the conversation and saying, friends, this is not how we're doing it. But at the end of the day, it's being clear about what's important to you. And if there are situations and events that you know are going to be toxic to you and are going to bring you down and suck your precious resource of time and energy and spirit, don't go. You don't have to go. You do not have to do anything that you really don't feel safe doing. And when you don't feel safe in a place where your boundaries are honored and upheld, where your voice is honored and upheld, you do not have to go. Might be disappointing for some people, but at the end of the day, do you want to disappoint them, or are you willing to continue to disappoint yourself? Because on Christmas morning, you want to create your own version of whatever your Hallmark movie might be. It might be messy. The pajamas may or may not match. The presents may be in bags, or heck, they may be in newspaper. Who cares? Are you creating the conditions for your goals, your hopes to become real? So that's the advice. Be really discerning about where you are, what you're willing to do, and how long you're going to stick around for it. Because it's your holiday, and it's your traditions to make, and it's your experiences to create for you and the people that will uphold and honor your worth. And damn it, you're worth it. And if you haven't heard that enough, I'll tell you again in a minute. So the last conversation is, you talk a lot about what are you tolerating? What's with that? Well, I mentioned it a little bit earlier. It was a question posed to me from my coach, and it has become a foundational piece in virtually everything that I do. When we can say, I'm tolerating not feeling great in my body, I'm tolerating my position at work, I'm tolerating my finances, I'm tolerating my lack of motivation. When we can embrace, when we can admit out loud that there is something off, it doesn't mean wrong, it just means off. We acknowledge that there's now space to do something about that. So in January, if you guys want to check it out, I will be hosting a class called What Are You Tolerating through finduniquelyu.com. If you haven't checked it out already, it's super cool. And on December 22nd, you'll meet Angela DiMarco, who's the founder of uniquelyu.com. I will be offering a whole course on this, so don't feel like you have to, get it all in the first bat. But it's about looking at what you're tolerating. And I go back to the original structure here, right? What's important to you and what's getting in the way of that? We look at what have you tried before, what's worked and what hasn't worked. I often find the what hasn't worked to be some of the most valuable data, right? It's showing where the bumps are, and then you kind of find the way to flow in between. So identifying the importance, identifying what's in the way, and then identifying resources. How do you get closer to that? Through this, we work on behaviors, we work a lot on mindset, we work a lot on accountability, and we celebrate the entire way. We celebrate the yeses, we celebrate the no's, don't do this again, because it all helps us understand what's most true to you. Because when we clear out the way, when we get the crapola that holds us back, when we release that collection of luggage that we tote around with us, we make the room for our divine selves to shine. And in that shining, we get to help others, guys. So it's not self-serving. It's really about helping other people. So when we look at the holidays, when we look at any situation in life, focus on where do you want this to help you go? If you're avoiding a conversation, if you're tolerating a frustration and avoiding a conversation for it, that's fine. But you'll be tolerating that until you decide to change. And there is no timeline. Again, you do not hold the wand, but you also hold the influence to say, this is no longer okay. And that's where having a coach, having someone to talk with, to gain the perspective, to help pull out the resources, to build in the accountability, gives the space to kind of not know what you're doing and to not always get it right, but to always have someone saying, let's try again, let's push forward, you got this. I say a lot to my people, is that actually true? How do you know? And we look at the experiences, and it's data, right? So there are so many ways for us to tap into this knowing of what we're tolerating, what brings us joy, but it starts with that space. In between stimulus and response, there is a pause. And that's where you get to shine. That's where you get to say, I'm going to choose my hard today to make tomorrow and all the days that follow a little happier, a little healthier, and a little bit brighter. So, my friends, drum roll please. This officially concludes season 1 of Annndd All the Things. You will have so much to look forward to, and I really can't wait to share my guests with you. You have Anna Jo on here. She is listening in. Hello, my darling. She will be joining us. She is a work-life balance coach, and she is just dynamite, y'all. So again, another wonderful example of how our guests that you'll get to enjoy can offer you insights to grow and to change and to serve to your greatest good. So with that, This is Michaela Birdyshaw, your joy coach, and all the things. And it has been my deep honor to share this space with you and all of my guests. And I will hold this and move it forward into season 2, where there will be nothing but insights and laughter and light and growth and opportunity. From there, I'll say, make it great, my friends. I'll see you next time.